Hi folks. Wanted to talk about some things. Hopefully it's not too much of an echo chamber in here. I'll have to work on the audio in the future for the channel. I'd like to talk about lightweight adventure bikes and how the segment is, let's say, a little anemic at the moment compared to where it should be. Behind me here is what you would consider a middleweight adventure bike. It's 440 pounds or so, give or take a few. It's had a lot of modifications. But what I'm really looking for, and I think what a lot of people are looking for in an adventure bike, is actually something that's more probably in the range of 320 to maybe 380 pounds. And something, in order to get that, you're going to have to give up the twin cylinder dream, I think, and just live with a single cylinder. Single cylinders are much more lightweight. You're going to want a lighter adventure bike anyways, because you're going to want to do more off-roading, or you're a beginner. Either way, single cylinders, perfect way to go. In fact, I would prefer a single cylinder. At least if I was going to have one bike, I would have a lightweight adventure bike. And you go, well, why wouldn't you get just the CRF 300L Rally? Well, that bike it's still too small of an engine. It's underpowered. They've got the right idea, but they need to do. Someone needs to do something between a single cylinder between 400 and 500 cc's with low maintenance. So, in other words, long maintenance intervals. You don't want to be changing your oil every 1,500 kilometers or 1,000 miles. So nobody has anything really like that. The closest thing that exists is probably the Suzuki DRZ 400. It's a carbureted, frankly, somewhat outdated bike, and it requires heavy modification to be kind of qualify as that light adventure bike because it's a dual sport. So what I want to see is a 450 version of the CRF 300L Rally. Like I said, with longer maintenance intervals or the same length of maintenance intervals as the 300L Rally would be fantastic. And preferably a better suspension out of the gate. The CRF 300L Rally has a terrible suspension to start with, which requires most people to upgrade it, spend thousands of dollars on suspension. So that's pretty silly. Frankly, if any of these manufacturers are looking to fill a gap in the market right now, that's it. The lightweight adventure bike. The CRF 300L Rally is a fantastic bike for beginners, and even some experienced people, but if you have to do any highway riding for any amount of time, I imagine that would get pretty burdensome. So I think you need something just a little bit bigger, a little bit more power, and that'd be the perfect bike. Honestly, if Honda came out with the CRF 450L Rally with long maintenance intervals and, like I said, a good suspension, all that, I would sell a kidney to get one. I would finance it. I never finance toys, but I would do it if I had to for that one because it would be basically my unicorn. Somehow I don't think Honda's going to do that because it would take sales away from their new Transalp and the Africa Twin and the CRF 300L Rally. So somehow I just don't think that's going to happen with them. If Suzuki was smart, they would do something like that. Update their DRZ 400 and come out with a rally version. That would sell like hotcakes. Again, I would buy that. I love Suzuki. I've had a DR650. There's a lot of issues with the DR650 that honestly I didn't even want to sell the bike, but I had to at the time for financial reasons. But now that I have this bike, I think this bike's a little bit better than that bike. And I'll get into that in the review for this bike that I'm going to do. But really, we just need lightweight adventure bikes, and I think that's the only part of the segment that's really left. The middleweight adventure bike segment is so crowded right now. There's so many options. There's the Tenere 700, the Transalp 750 now, the Suzuki V-Strom 800, the older 650 as well. You've got all your BMWs, you've got all the KTM bikes. Excuse me. So really we're just waiting for something else. And hopefully someone comes out with something like that. Until then, this bike suits me just fine, but it still is 440 pounds, and I would love to shave off 100 pounds. I really would. That being said, this bike does feel lighter when picking it up than my DR650 did, but that's because the center of gravity on the DR650 is really high. It's the same issue people have with the Tenere 700, just that high center of gravity. So if any of the manufacturers are listening, please, for the love of God, make basically a dual sport that's made into a rally bike with, big fuel capacity, preferably fuel tanks that come down low on the sides here to keep the center of gravity low, and also can act as basically engine guards, kind of like on the 890, KTM 890. And good suspension, wind protection, a little area to mount your phone, like a bar on there. Good, nice wide seat. So what I mean by that is, like this bike, the seat being wider towards the back, so your butt has lots of surface area to rest on for longer trips, but also keeping it narrow here so that when you're standing, it's comfortable and not too wide. The gearing on the CRF 300L would be perfect. A really low first gear, and then kind of go 2, 3, 4, 5 from that, and then a really long 6th gear. Basically as an overdrive for highway driving. That would be ideal. Please, for the love of God, someone make it. Thanks for watching.